This program is provided by Universal Genesis.
Imagine for a second that you walk into, I don't know, the oldest, most prestigious library in the world.
Okay.
And this place is just stacked. 2,000 years of heavy hitters. You've got Plato on the top shelf, Aristotle, Descartes, Kant, Hegel. The absolute giants.
The whole crew.
The whole crew. And they're all in this room and they're all arguing. They are shouting over each other about the meaning of life, the nature of the soul. It's a very loud, very crowded room.
That is a great image. The great conversation, as they call her.
Right. Now imagine a young Austrian aeronautical engineer walks into this library. He's intense, he's quiet, and he's not there to join the debate. He's not there to rearrange the books or suggest a new filing system. He wants to plant a bomb in the foundation, walk out, lock the door, and never look back.
That is a violent metaphor, but honestly.
It is arguably the most accurate description of Ludwig Wittgenstein I have ever heard.
Today on the Deep Dive, we are tackling one of the most enigmatic figures in history, Ludwig Wittgenstein, and his absolute powerhouse of a book, the Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus, which is a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. And look, I know the title sounds like a Harry Potter spell, but the source material we are working with today suggests this isn't just another philosophy book. It's an obituary.
An obituary for philosophy itself. That's the key.
Exactly. Most people, and I'll include myself before reading this stack, think of Wittgenstein as just another chapter. You know, you study the Greeks, then the Enlightenment, then eventually you get to this guy.
Right, just next in line.
But the sources argue he wasn't trying to add a chapter. He was trying to write the end. He wanted to silence everyone, from Aristotle all the way to Kant.
And the wildest part, he thought he'd done it. He genuinely believed he had solved it all.
So that's our mission today. We are going to conduct a kind of philosophical crime scene investigation. We're going to look at the kill list. We're going to see how one man tried to logically dismantle the world, the self, and even the idea of right and wrong.
It's a philosophical hit job. I am ready.
But before we get to the weapon itself, the Tractatus, we have to look at the motive, because the context here is surprisingly geopolitical. Our research highlights this really specific historical moment called the German boom.
Yeah. To get Wittgenstein, you have to get the vibe of Europe in the late 19th century, specifically right after 1871.
The Franco-Prussian War.
Correct. Prussia wins, the German Empire is established, and suddenly Germany is the main character of Europe. They're the new superpower.
Right.
And you know how it is. When a country becomes a military and economic giant, everyone else starts assuming their ideas must be superior to.
So Britain and France are looking over the fence with serious FOMO.
Massive FOMO.
Yeah.
In Britain especially, the universities became obsessed with German philosophy. They started importing this heavy, complex German idealism.
They wanted that depth.
Exactly. They wanted to talk about the absolute and the spirit and these grand, sweeping systems. It became the trendy thing to do at Oxford and Cambridge.
But here's where it gets really interesting and honestly kind of funny. The source points out a massive irony here.
While the British were obsessing over German philosophy, what was actually happening back in Germany?
It was rotting. That's the catch. In Germany, the great era of philosophy was effectively over. The departments were shrinking.
Really?
Yeah, they weren't creating national ideals anymore. They were mostly just training school teachers and focusing on methodology.
So Britain was obsessed with a ghost? They were fanboying over a movement that the Germans themselves had already moved on from?
Basically, it was a cultural lag. Britain was buying into German depth, just as Germany was pivoting to hard sciences, engineering, and industrialization.
Which brings us to Wittgenstein. He steps into this environment in Britain, specifically Cambridge. Now, usually the story is that he teams up with Bertrand Russell and G.E. Moore to fight this imported idealism.
Which is true, to an extent. Russell and Moore were the local resistance. They were already fighting that battle, trying to use logic to take down the fluff of idealism.
But the source material makes a really crucial distinction here. Wittgenstein wasn't just interested in winning an argument against the idealists.
He wasn't interested in kicking a dead horse.
No. He looked at Russell, his own teacher, and thought, you're still missing the point. Russell was asking, is idealism true or false?
And Wittgenstein?
Wittgenstein asked a much scarier question. Is philosophy even possible?
Wow. He wasn't trying to fix the leak in the boat. He was asking why we're trying to sail on dry land.
Perfect analogy. He saw his colleagues debating, creating theories, building systems, and to him, it all looked like a malfunction, a glitch in how we use language.
So he wanted to investigate the code itself.
Exactly. The conditions that allow us to speak at all. And if you could figure that out, he believed he could logically remove the ability to do philosophy entirely.
He wanted to pull the plug on the whole operation.
Permanently.
Okay, so let's look at the weapon he built to do this. The Tractatus. The source describes it as a premise dismantling device.
Which is just a cool name.
It's a great name. We're going to break this down by the specific theses in the book and who exactly gets taken out by each one. It's like a kill list.
It really is. Let's start with the foundation. Target number 1, reality itself. Or at least the philosophical study of it, which we call ontology.
Right, and for centuries the assumption was that the world is made of things, objects, substances.
Exactly. This goes back to Aristotle, the idea of substance. Then you have Spinoza talking about one infinite substance, or Leibniz talking about monads. The basic building block of reality was always thought to be a thing.
And Wittgenstein drops thesis 1.1. The world is the totality of facts, not things.
It sounds so subtle, doesn't it? But it acts like a sniper shot.
Okay, unpack that for us. Why does changing things to facts kill philosophy?
Well, think about it this way. If you look around this room, you see a microphone, you see a table, you see a wall.
Okay.
Traditional philosophy says the world is made of these objects: microphone, table, wall.
Right, I follow.
Wittgenstein says, no. The world isn't a bag of loose objects like marbles in a sack. The world is the fact that the microphone is on the table. The world is the fact that the wall is white. The world is a network of states of affairs.
So reality isn't the Lego bricks. It's the instruction manual showing how they all fit together.
That is a great way to put it. A thing by itself is meaningless until it's in a fact. And here's why that kills ontology. Traditional philosophy loves to obsess over the essence of things.
The whatness.
The whatness, yeah. What is the true nature of the microphone? Wittgenstein is saying. That's nonsense. If the world is made of facts, meaning structural relationships, then you can't talk about essence anymore.
It can't.
You can only describe how things are arranged. You can't have a theory of being. You can only have a description of facts.
So, Aristotle, gone. Spinoza, gone. Leibniz, gone.
Essentially, yes. He's turning the study of reality into a descriptive science. There's no magic behind the curtain. They're just the facts.
Okay, that's target number 1, reality itself. Now let's move to target number 2, the system. This is where he goes after the big builders.
Right. This is a direct hit on the German idealists we were just talking about. Hegel is the big victim here.
Hegel loved the system.
He lived for it. The goal of those guys was to build a system with a capital S. A giant interconnected structure of theory where everything explains everything else.
Like a cathedral of thought.
Exactly. And Wittgenstein comes along and says, nope.
What's the thesis?
Thesis 4.112. Philosophy is not a body of doctrine, but an activity.
An activity? That sounds like he's demoting philosophers to janitors.
That is literally the metaphor scholars use. He's saying you don't build a structure of truth. You clean up messy logic. Philosophy isn't about discovering new information. It's about clarifying what we've already said so we don't get confused.
So if I write a book called The Theory of Everything, Wittgenstein would say.
He would say you're making a category error. Philosophy creates clarity, not theories. It's a method, not a result. So the era of the grand system. Brutal. Okay, so we've killed reality and the system. Now let's get personal. Let's kill the self.
This is one of the most radical parts of the Tractatus. Thesis 5.641. The subject does not belong to the world. Rather, it is a limit of the world.
The subject does not belong to the world. That sounds incredibly lonely. But practically, who is he targeting here?
René Descartes. I think, therefore I am. The whole modern tradition starts with the I, the self.
Sure.
Fichte, Husserl, they all build their philosophy on the foundation of the subject. They start inside and work their way out.
And Wittgenstein is saying the I isn't there.
He's saying the I isn't a thing inside the world that you can talk about. Think about your eye.
My physical eye.
Yes. Your eye looks out and sees the whole visual field. It sees trees, cars, the sky. But does the eye see itself?
No. I mean, unless I look in a mirror. But directly, no.
Right. Strictly from the perspective of the eye is not in the picture. It's the limit of the picture. Wittgenstein argues the self is the same way. It's the edge of reality, not a part of it.
So if it's not part of the world, then you can't speak about it with facts. You cannot treat the self as an object to be studied.
So Descartes is sitting there saying, I think, and Wittgenstein interrupts with, shh, You can't say I.
Effectively, yes.
Yeah.
Subjective philosophy just collapses into silence. You literally cannot speak meaningfully about this subject.
Man, he is relentless. Okay, so we've dismantled reality, the system, and the self. But surely we can talk about what matters. Good and evil. Ethics. Please tell me we didn't kill ethics.
What, grab a helmet? Target number 4, ethics and value.
Thesis 6.4. It is clear that ethics cannot be expressed.
This takes out Aristotle's ethics, Kant's moral law, utilitarianism, all of it.
How can he say ethics can't be expressed? I can say murder is wrong. That's a sentence. It has a subject and a verb.
It's a sentence, but Wittgenstein would argue it's not a proposition that pictures a fact. Remember, the world is the totality of facts. Yeah, cat is on the mat is a fact. You can measure it. You can verify it.
Oh.
But murder is wrong isn't a fact in the physical world. You can't put wrongness under a microscope. It's a judgment of value. And since value isn't a fact, it lies outside the world.
But wait, does that mean he's saying ethics don't exist? That sounds dangerous.
And this is the most common misunderstanding. Wittgenstein actually respected ethics deeply. He thought they were too important to be dragged through the mud of language. He believed ethics were transcendental. They show themselves in how we live, but as soon as you try to write a theory of ethics, like Kant's categorical imperative, you are speaking nonsense.
Well, you can be good, but you can't explain good.
Precisely. He's protecting ethics by removing it from philosophical debate. But the result is the same for the professors. The Department of Moral Philosophy is closed.
Closed and boarded up. Okay, surely there is one thing left. History. Progress. The idea that we are going somewhere. I'm thinking of Marx. I'm thinking of Hegel.
Thesis 6.363. Belief in the causal nexus is superstition.
Superstition. Calling cause and effect a superstition is a bold move. If I drop a ball, it falls. That's cause and effect.
Wittgenstein would say, no, that's just expectation. You've seen it fall 1,000 times, so you expect it to fall again. But there is no logical glue that forces it to fall.
And if you apply that to history...
It destroys the arc of history. Marxists, Hegelians, they all thought history had a direction, a destiny.
Right.
Wittgenstein says, no, just because event A happened doesn't mean event B had to happen. There is no destiny. There is no story. Just one fact after another.
It is a clean sweep. Let's look at the inventory of the victims here. We have Aristotle, Spinoza, Leibniz, Hegel, Descartes, Fichte, Husserl, Kant, Marx.
It's the syllabus of Western Philosophy 101.
It really is. And the common thread, according to our source, is that all these people believed one thing. That if you used language and logic, you could reach the truth.
Right. They thought language was a vehicle to get you to the truth. Wittgenstein argues that language, when used this way, is actually a malfunction. It's a machine breaking down.
Which brings us to the cleanup. The famous metaphor of the ladder.
Yes. Thesis 6.54. This is the twist at the end of the movie.
He writes this whole book, these complicated logical propositions, and then at the very end he says, what?
He says, effectively, my propositions serve as a ladder. You use them to climb up out of the hole of confusion. But once you have climbed up and see the world correctly, you must throw the ladder away.
He who climbs the ladder must kick it away.
Exactly. He admits that his own book is, strictly speaking, nonsense. But it's useful nonsense. It's therapy. Once you understand it, you realize you don't need it anymore. You don't need philosophy anymore.
This brings us to the part of the story that I found the most poignant, the departure. Wittgenstein releases this book, and then he quits. He leaves the university.
And people often misunderstand this. They think he gave up, or he was unstable, or he wanted a break. But the source is very clear on this. He left because the job was done.
Mission accomplished.
Literally. He viewed philosophy as a disease, a malfunction of language. The Tractatus was the cure. He had administered the cure. He had corrected the error that started with Aristotle. So why would he stay in the hospital after he cured the plague?
It's like a mechanic who fixes the car and then just stands around the garage. No, you go home.
Exactly. His silence wasn't an escape. It was a completion report. He went off to be a gardener, a school teacher. He did manual labor. Because in his mind, the intellectual work of the last 2,000 years had been resolved. He had cleaned up the room.
It's such a boss move. I have solved philosophy. I'm going to go teach elementary school now.
It shows his absolute conviction. He didn't want to become a professor of philosophy.
Yeah.
Because in his view, there was nothing left to profess.
The source ends with a parable that I think perfectly captures this feeling. It's about Wittgenstein meeting an old man on a mountain.
Yes. It's a beautiful metaphorical image. Wittgenstein sees this old man and asks him, "What are you doing here?"
And the old man says, I'm here to explain the world. I'm going to talk about values and preach morality and explain the nature of the soul to the people.
He's basically representing every philosopher who ever lived, the old guard.
And Wittgenstein just looks at him, stays silent for a moment, and sighs.
That sigh is everything.
Because the old man doesn't know.
He doesn't know that the world has changed. He doesn't know that the Tractatus has already happened.
It's like seeing someone trying to sell typewriters in an Apple store.
Right. Wittgenstein realizes that people are already living in a world where philosophy, at least philosophy as the old man knows it, is no longer necessary. The cleanup is over. The fact that people are still talking, still writing books, still debating metaphysics, to Wittgenstein, that's just noise. It's the echo of a machine that has already been turned off.
So what does this all mean for us? For you, the learner, listening to this?
I think it forces us to ask a really uncomfortable question. We live in an age of information overload, where everyone has a take, everyone has a theory about everything. We are constantly trying to build these systems to explain our life, our politics, our world.
We're all little Aristotles and little Marxes trying to explain the why.
Exactly. And Wittgenstein is standing there pointing at the ground saying, stop. Look at what is actually there. The facts are the facts. The rest is just you struggling with language.
It's incredibly liberating, but also kind of terrifying. If we throw away the latter, if we stop asking the big metaphysical why and how, what are we left with?
We are left with the world. Just the world as it is. No magic, no hidden gears, no grand destiny. Just the facts. And for Wittgenstein, that was enough. The question is it enough for us?
That is the provocative thought we are going to leave you with today. Are you ready to throw away the latter, or are you still trying to explain things that can't be said?
Silence can be a very powerful answer.
Indeed. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the mind of the man who tried to silence philosophy. We'll see you next time.
This program is provided by Universal Genesis.